Call the meeting to order and ask you to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd ask Misty if you'd call the roll, please.
David Burris.
Here.
Ray McAfee. Bill Lucas.
Here.
Bob Nelson.
Here.
Ron Richards.
Here.
Allison Ritterbusch. Here. Craig Romey.
Present.
Caitlin Turner. Here. Thank you.
We do have a quorum. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And again, I want to remind the council, if there's any item on the agenda tonight that you have a conflict of interest, please notify the entire council prior to voting. You have in your packages the minutes from the July 15th council meeting. I'd ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 15th council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I'd like to make a correction under the finance report. On our budget meeting was on August 1st, not August 10th, which is a Saturday,
We'll try not to make it.
unless we want to go Saturday.
Okay. We have a correction of the date on the council, or the budget meeting to August 1st. Are there any other corrections? I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes as corrected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved as corrected. You have in your packages the claims. First item is the bills in between for $263,020.43. I'd ask for a motion to approve those bills in between.
Make a motion to approve the bills in between for $263,020.43.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the bills in between. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The bills in between are approved. You also have in your current claims, and we do have a correction to the current claims. The new total should read $97,458.58. If you look on page 10 of those current claims, there's a charge to rapid delivery that needs to have $1.88 added to it, and that brings the total up to $97,458.50. I'd accept a motion to approve those current claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the current claims for $97,458.50. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the current claims. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I have a comment. I think on page 8, Evans Plunge bought cleaning supplies at Sam's Club. I think we ought to try to purchase everything we can in Hot Springs at Lynn's, Honey's, Ace, Dollar Store, Dollar General. I don't think we need to buy stuff at Sam's Club for City of Hot Springs if we don't have to. Because you can buy all the cleaning supplies they need here in Hot Springs.
Yeah, I think that she does shop locally when she can, and she was there, and this was a matter of convenience, but I will share your comment with her. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Have before you Wells Fargo credit card claims of $3,797.32. I'd ask for a motion to approve those.
Make a
approve the Wells Fargo credit card claims in the amount of $3,797.32.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those claims. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our business agenda is communications from the public. I'd ask Jerry if you'd come forward to talk about creating a Veterans Marathon. It's what I understand you're here for. I know Jerry's a longtime fixture here in Hot Springs, has done some races for us. They're all long distance.
They are.
We appreciate
We're
you,
the sort
Jerry.
of heart, which our veterans are. Mayor and City Council members, thank you for having me.
Can you get closer to the mic there so everyone in the audience can hear what you're saying?
Is that better?
Yes, absolutely, thanks.
Anyway, thank you for having me. I could make this a long story, but I don't think I will at this point. Basically, what I'm asking is that the City of Hot Springs consider allowing me to put on a marathon, half marathon, for veterans only on the 4th of July in 2020. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done to do that, but the first step is to make sure that I'm going to be welcome to bring that event to town.
And Jerry, do you have an idea of a course that you would like to use and utilize?
I do. I'm going to talk to Dusty about incorporating her half marathon distance in the stair climb that already exists, and then I need to add another 13.1 miles to that. I would like to highlight Hot Springs, so I'm thinking about a portion of that going out to Colebrook and back, because that's by Chautauqua Park. That's a very scenic part of Hot Springs. Part of the course will be through the VA campus. I haven't nailed that down completely yet, but it's going to be in and around Hot Springs, so the participants and the media that covers it. And one of the things I want to do is highlight the hospital, and maybe make a few comments during the coverage of the race that we're still trying to save that, and I think if we highlight the city and highlight the VA hospital with a few thousand veterans coming to town to run an event, it can't hurt anything.
Well, absolutely not. And, we also have the State Veterans Home here. If there's a way that could be incorporated into the course too,
Right.
That might be a great way to highlight that aspect of our veterans heritage.
Once I have permission to put on the event, then as I work on the course, I will, before I declare what the course is, I'll bring proposed course to the council and get their approval.
And I think, have you talked with the Chamber of Commerce and Olivia? Obviously, we have a lot of other events in town, and we want to make sure that this gets, into the mix and doesn't get bumped out of the way or.
Well, I'm also aware that I don't want to infringe on the other events that are happening, so the scheduling of the event and the course, I've already been informed of the 4th of July 5 and 10K event that happened. So
Sure.
I don't think this will impact that. In fact, some of the people that aren't participating in the marathon may have family members that would want to participate in
Sure.
that race. In answer to your question, I haven't talked with Olivia yet, but that'll be my next step.
Sure. Does anyone on the council have any questions or comments for Jerry? Just my dealings with you, Jerry, in the past, at the events that you put on, they're all done very, very professionally. You've done many, I know, in your history, and I think nothing would be better for a veterans town than to have a veterans marathon. And
Thank you.
we'll certainly support in any way we can. Obviously, this council will have to give approval to routes and that sort of thing, but go for it.
Okay, well, my parting comment is when I sold the Lee Horse 100 and it got moved out of Hot Springs. I took a little flack for that, and I'm happy to be able to replace that with something that I believe is going to be a lot bigger. And I mean, I'm only speculating, but I'm sure that we'll probably have in the first year, I'm sure we'll have more than 1,000, and I think we can grow it to the size big enough that it's still a good event. And but there's potential for lots and lots of people wanting to participate in this.
Absolutely.
I guess one comment I'd make, Jerry, I'm Bill Lukens, I chair the Public Safety Committee, and one of the things we typically do is work with Chief Close to approve parade routes and determine what kind of support you might need from the police department. So we meet on the third Wednesday of each month, so anytime you want to participate in one of those
Okay.
meetings and we can start any advanced planning, we'd be happy to work with you on that.
And I will certainly do that. That's how I operated before with Lee Morrison, and everybody was very helpful and gave us what we needed, and we appreciated that. So.
And also, I think one of the key organizations within our community is the American Legion. They're very active, and you can get them on board to help in any way. I think that would be a great thing too, and make it a real community project.
Yeah, as you may recall, I tried to bring in as many community organizations as I possibly could to benefit them and also to help me get the job. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're excited.
Thank you.
Mayor Cotty?
Yes, go ahead.
One question, comment, not so much for Jerry, but would it be beneficial to, for this council, put this in a resolution? Because it's going to be July of 2020, there will be other folks possibly on the council. And rather than just have a verbal commitment, get something in a resolution that they can point to and say that this council approved putting the event on.
I think that's an excellent idea, Bob. I would prefer to maybe make that resolution later to get some of the details lined up and make sure that we can accommodate everything that Jerry needs, and have public safety have an opportunity to look at it and so forth. But I think that's an excellent idea to get a resolution. I think we have to anyhow if we use the state, the state road, which we will look for the highway. So very, very excellent. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. We also have Kelsey Killian from AmeriCorps National Civilian Community Corps, and we look like we've got some helpers.
Yeah, hello, I'm
Okay.
Kelsey.
Hi, my name is Cedric.
Hi.
I'm Hannah.
Great.
So basically we've been in Hot Springs for almost a month now, and we're going to be here for about until early September. And we just wanted to come here today and tell you a little bit about our program, what we do and why we're in Hot Springs. So basically, AmeriCorps CCC is a national service program. It's also a team-based residential program for 18 to 24-year-olds. And we do a lot of work moving across the country doing service work. So basically, all members serve in 10-month-long terms. And during each term, we serve on 3 to 7 different service projects. And, every one of these projects helps the community in a different way. So there are basically 5 main service projects we do. The first one is environmental stewardship. And basically what this one involves would be something like either trail maintenance or, cleaning up the river, removing invasive species or planting trees. The second area we serve in is disaster response. So an example of this project would be if we were managing a disaster shelter, or if we were preparing a community for disaster. Or if we went to a community that hit by a hurricane and we're clearing out debris. The third service project is called energy conservation. So basically, an example of this would be installing energy efficient appliances in communities, or maybe educating people on energy sustainable practices. We could also be like helping the neighborhood develop their recycling program. The fourth service project is called infrastructure improvement, and some of this could be like building wheelchair ramps or assembling playgrounds. We could also be preparing and painting public facilities. And the last service project we do is called urban and rural development. And the work we do here will be like facilitating after-school programs. We could also be doing historical preservation. Yeah, really just like anything to help a community in the various ways they might need aid. Because the great thing about this program is that, yes, the main purpose is to help communities in whatever way they need it, but it also gives young people a chance to get invested in the workforce and really do a lot of service work and, yeah, just really get a lot of leadership opportunities.
So we travel everywhere, but currently we have 4 main campuses. The region that we're at is North Central. It covers the Midwest and the Northeast. The second one is Pacific. That covers the West Coast all the way to, covers the West Coast. And then we have Southwest, which is like the Texas area up to North Central where the Dakotas are. And then the last one is 7, which would, around Florida and anywhere. So like Cedric said, we're a residential-based program. Government helps a lot with the funding, but the sponsors are the other part that help make this program roll. There are 3 sponsors that we can have. It can be government agencies, could be nonprofits, or Native American tribes.
So I'm going to talk about sponsoring a team. So right now, the Nature Conservancy in Hot Springs is our sponsor. So the sponsor, the main thing they have to provide is housing, but other than that, there's no direct fee for service. Our program, they give us a meal budget, transportation, we have a big van that we travel in, and they give us some tools. The sponsor does have to provide some tools that they need to get the work done. And our program also provides basic personal equipment like ear protection, eye protection, hard hats, things like that. So right now in Hot Springs, we're working with the Nature Conservancy, and we're installing fire breaks along the Conservancy property. Because recently, wildfire that's natural has been happening less and less. So when it does happen, there's an overpopulation of trees, so it burns a lot quicker. So what we're doing is we're cutting down a lot of the cedar trees and juniper trees that are overpopulated. So if there is a natural wildfire, hopefully it'll burn less hot and less far. And also we're increasing the access, so fire crews can get up there. They don't have to go through the forest as much. We're kind of clearing a path for them. So that's the gist of the work that we're doing. As Cedric said, we've been here for, I think this is our 4th week, and we're here for about 3 more. So yeah, thank you for having us, and if you have any questions.
Okay, well, great. Are you looking for any additional projects?
Yeah, so part of what we do is we also outreach to the community. So if you know any organizations locally that in the future would want a team, we're open to hearing that and have information that we can give them. Or we also have to do independent service hours as part of the program. So if there's short-term things while we're here that we can volunteer at, we'd be happy to hear about that stuff too.
Allison, would that help clearing that trail for the bike race?
It's almost done, so it would have been very helpful, but it's almost done, yes, thank you.
I know I saw a pickup with a couple of weed whackers in
Yes,
the
there
back.
was, yeah.
Okay. Well, we thank you for being here and part of the community. Certainly, fire protection is a very, very important part of what goes on here. And we hope that the lessons that you learn in leadership and just learning how to work and serve are very, very important. And you'll carry those with you for a lifetime. And we thank you for learning them here in our community. How do we get a hold of you if we do hear of something that might fit your bailiwick as far as a project?
I can leave my contact information, and we also, I forgot them, but we have pamphlets with contact information for our staff back on campus, so
Okay.
so I can drop yours off.
Okay. Does anyone on the council have any comments or questions?
Are you looking for a project here in town for your next 3 weeks, or is what you're doing now pretty much
We'll be at the,
consuming all your time?
yeah, we'll be at the Conservancy the next 3 weeks, but if there's like a day project or something we could do after our hours there, like a kind of mini volunteer project, we're open to that.
What else thinking if we do have some elderly in town that could really use some help to clean up their yards, stuff like that.
That's excellent.
We do have some seniors in the town that do need help.
Okay.
So really, if you leave us your contact stuff, we could actually talk with a few people during the week and see if we can't put you two together.
Okay. That'd be
That
good.
sounds, if it works for you. I mean, I don't know what all your parameters are as far as, your time constraint.
Yeah, it's a possibility for sure.
Okay. Good enough. Thank you very much.
Good idea. Any other questions or comments?
Comment and a two-part question. Thank you for being a part of the community and what you've been doing the last 3 weeks and what you'll be doing in the weeks to come. Is this your first time in this part of the country, and where's home for you?
For me, so we've had several projects. We started in February, so we've had several projects. Personally, I was in North Dakota the first half of the summer. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
So I'm actually from New York City, and yeah, this is actually my second time in South Dakota. The first time I was out also in this program. Yeah, my previous team was working on a Native American reservation, the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. It's about like a 3-hour drive from here. But never been to South Dakota before this year, so it's a new experience.
A little culture shock for you?
Yeah.
Are you a Yankees fan or a Mets?
Neither, honestly. I'm an Angels fan.
Oh, okay.
And I'm from Pennsylvania, outside of Philly. This is my first time in South Dakota. I was very excited that I found out I was coming here, and it's beautiful. I love it.
Have you all gotten a chance to see Mount Rushmore?
Yes, yeah, we
Good.
were there last weekend.
Yeah, good.
Thank you again.
Again, thank you, and thank you for taking the initiative to come and let us know what you're doing, and you're certainly welcome here in our community. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda is personnel actions. I take a motion to approve personnel actions A through K.
Make a motion to approve personnel actions A through K.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve those personnel actions. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the agenda, we have committee reports, administrative and finance, Bob and Caitlin.
The Admin and Finance Committee met today at City Hall at 1 o'clock. Mayor, Caitlin, Bill, Misty, Karen, and myself were present. A couple old business items, the surplus buildable property lots. Of course, Canton Avenue, Canton Avenue is going along well. We also talked about the Armory building, what some of the possibilities might be with that. A while back, some initial estimates of about the value of the property or what it would cost to tear down the armory and remove the concrete pad. Those estimates were around $50,000. Tearing the building down and leaving the pad in place is $30,000. So that'll help us try to decide what the value of that property should be if we were to offer it for sale along with the adjacent property. So we're still following that one. The Peatling and Sun Mining, still working with BLM. They've been working with FAA regarding the environmental study. So that one's moving along. Not at a pace we would probably prefer, but the government decides the pace, not us on that one. The airport fueling system, Misty gave us an update on that. They're about halfway through the merchant setup process. The vehicle that we had talked about last time, the city mechanic did take a look at the vehicle itself and felt that it's mechanically in good shape. It does need a new windshield for safety purposes, but he did feel that, to your question, Craig, that mechanically it was a sound vehicle. The city should be okay to purchase it. Misty reviewed her monthly reports that you have in your packets. We also had a telephone conversation with the Western Group, the folks that are doing the compensation package for us. I was very pleased with what they had talked about. They looked at ensuring that we're paying competitively, we're paying fairly, and according to policies, and we're consistent with what we have there. 99% of our employees are currently being compensated as far as their actual wage and their benefits, in line with what other places are seeing, what the benefits that we should be providing for them. They did recommend that for the employees' benefits that yearly we provide a total compensation statement so the employees see what their wages are, what all the benefits are that they're receiving. Some of the benefits that went into that study are the health insurance, the vacation, the holidays, sick leave, life insurance, retirement, on-call pay, the clothing allowance, dental allowance, night differential and phone. Depending on the positions, there's a lot of benefits that the city employees receive. So when someone is talking about just strictly an hourly wage, that's not necessarily the complete benefits that they're receiving from the city. So it's quite a lengthy presentation. It's going to be, they'll send it to Misty, and that'll be made available for all folks to take a look at and ask your individual questions about it. So we'll continue looking at that and see what direction we want to go with. The city website has been a topic of conversation for a while. It's not as user-friendly as it could be. So we want to get together with Robert Sharp, the folks that have made the last modifications to it, and identify what individually we think are some of the weaknesses in it and some of the changes that need to be made. Misty's going to contact them, get some dates of when they would be available, and then we'll let the full council know. So if you get a chance, take a look at the website, see what you feel is working for you, and if there's something that isn't working, then I'll make a list of that and attend the meeting that we had with them to try to get it to work better for us and the residents, the taxpayers. We also had a request from Evans Plunge to put together or approve a bonus package for the head lifeguards in an effort to entice them to stay longer and provide better benefits. There wasn't any funding options that were included with that, so we asked to have that request go back to the manager of the Evans Plunge and the Evans Plunge Committee and help us understand how that position would be funded if the council was to approve an additional position.
We also talked about the retention bonus. Retention may not be the right word, but the previous council had talked about approving a bonus for the lifeguards who stay all summer long. We had been seeing that lifeguards would come on board, maybe stay a month, month and a half, and then they were moving on. And we were just rotating through lifeguards through the whole summer. So the previous council had agreed that offering a bonus to lifeguards that serve 300 hours in a 10-week consecutive 10-week period from May 1st to August 31st would be eligible for a $200 bonus for staying through the summer. And the important part of that bonus is it's 300 hours. It's all or nothing. It's not 200 hours or 299 hours and you're close enough to get the bonus. It's 300 hours or nothing. That was never put in a resolution. So that will be on an upcoming agenda for your consideration. But the previous council felt that was something that would help keep the lifeguards here. The maintenance department also had a request for an additional employee. We talked about whether the maintenance department is being asked to do too much with the current staff that they have, that we're treating them more like contractors than maintenance staff. And the mayor had mentioned that he would talk to Billy and see what the real need for the position is. If the routine work that they need to do within the city itself has grown enough to the point where they need additional staff, or if we're asking them to do too much outside of their normal duties, and they're finding themselves just stretched too thin. Caitlin, do you have anything?
Think you got it all? No comment?
All right. The next admin finance meeting will be September 2nd, 1 o'clock, City Hall, public vote.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Airport Advisory Committee, Bill.
The committee did not meet in July. Our next meeting will be Thursday, August 29th at 8 a.m. at the airport. And once we get back, I'll have some airport metrics for you as far as gallons of aviation fuel sold and number of landing and takeoff operations.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill. Custer Fall River Waste Management District, Ron.
Next meeting is 12th of September, 7 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center.
Downtown Historic Preservation Commission, Craig.
I have a meeting Wednesday, 7th at 5 o'clock at the library.
Okay, thank you. The Evans Plunge Advisory Committee, Allison.
Next meeting will be September 12th at noon at the Plunge.
Thank you. Parks, Recreation, Beautification, and Cultural Development, Dave.
Our next meeting will be this Wednesday, the 7th, here at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Everybody's invited to come that has anything to do with the parks and cultural beautification.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning Commission, Allison.
Planning and Zoning met on Wednesday, July 17th. First item of new business was a request for a setback variance. The group determined that the initial findings would suggest that it does not fit the variance rules, and so it was motion to make it a non-working situation as set, but Scott was going to go discuss any other options available. Mammoth site housing request. The drawing as the Mammoth site gave the group, there needed to be more information and more work done as the drawing did not hit some of the lot coverage needs that were needed to fit the ordinance. So Scott was going to follow up with the Mammoth site to make sure that they felt that there was a resolution, but as it sits now, it needed more work. So Scott was going to team with the Mammoth site to make that happen. Old business, the Boulder Falls Business Park campground. There continues to be discussion regarding the campground, but there hasn't been anybody that has come and discussed this with planning and zoning. So that just still sits as a possibility, but nothing has moved any further with that. There was questions regarding the 1501 Highway 18 bypass lot split. There was no new information as Scott was going to find out if for sure that was not going to proceed as he thought it may. There was discussion regarding ordinance modification and just discussion at this point. The 30% lot coverage that we have in our ordinance right now, planning and zoning is discussing if that may be a bit restrictive. We're running into a lot of issues with that. And the discussion was around that we may want to change that a bit and to make it less restrictive. So they just began the discussion regarding that. Let's see. The old armory building also was a discussion for planning and zoning. There continues to be somebody interested in purchasing it, and they were going to get into the building tomorrow with somebody that I believe it was an architect, so no further information regarding that. And Fall River Hospital expansion construction, there was a walkthrough and certificate given, and the final our next planning and zoning meeting is August 21st, 7 p.m., City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Allison. And just one thing I wanted to clarify, that old armory building, it would be used as a residential instead of any kind of a commercial.
Correct, yeah, for the woman that was looking at it, that brought her attention to Scott, that's for residential at this point, yeah.
Thank you. Public safety, Bill.
Next public safety meeting will be Wednesday, August 21st. The meeting will start at 1 p.m. and it will be at the library. Regarding our agenda, probably from 1 p.m. till about 2 p.m. is really going to be a special time for any of the council members that want to attend. We'll be reviewing the Emergency Coordination Center resource management process that we've put together. And so once we've completed that at 2 p.m. or about 2 p.m., then we'll move into our normal agenda items. So if any of the council members could make that, you can plug that into your planning, and then if you want to leave, you're free to do so. So I think, Misty, if you want to put a notice of quorum in case everybody decides to show up.
Typically, I just ask for RSVPs if you plan to go, and then post one if there'll be more than 4. I can certainly just post one to be safe if you'd like.
I'm going to try to make it.
I'll find it. What was the date again?
Wednesday the 21st.
1 p.m.
One-
here or at the library?
1 p.m. at the library conference room.
Okay, Bill, thank you.
I just wanted to tell Bill that give the thanks to the American Legion for supporting our parade this past Sunday.
Oh, thank you.
Great, thank you. Public Works, Bob and Ray is not here this evening.
Public Works met on July 30th at City Hall, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, sorry. Mayor Cotty was present, Ray, Craig, Tracy, Scott, Billy Morrow, and myself were present. It was quite a lengthy meeting. It went from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock when the budget meeting started. But even being a lengthy meeting, there were 2 items that took up the majority of the meeting, so we didn't get a lot covered. But what we did cover, I think, is important. Our old business item, the Catholican Avenue issue that we've been following for quite a while. Discussions are continuing to resolve the access issue to properties on Catholican Avenue east of South 11th Street. The committee was joined by members from the Hot Springs Radio Club to discuss possible solutions. In 2004, the Hot Springs City Council granted, quote, an easement for encroachment of the building and antennas, which encroach 40 feet, more or less, that was interesting, into Catholican Avenue adjoining lots 58, 59, and 60, and block 18 of Fargo and Prentice addition to the town, now city of Hot Springs, for the life of said structures adjoining and partially on said street, end quote. The above The above described easement shall be binding upon all the successors in the interest of the grantor and shall run for the benefit of all the successors and interest of the grantee above named. The effect of this permanent easement was to reduce Catholic Avenue from a usable width of 60 feet to 20 feet. In March of 2019, one of the property owners on Catholic Avenue received a cease and desist letter for the use of the current access road from an adjacent property owner's lawyer. The majority of the road is on private property. The road can continue to be used for 8 months, but after that time, access will no longer be allowed off of 11th Street. So that's what we're dealing with. We have a time constraint here and trying to provide access to the property owners once the cease and desist order takes effect. The preferred solution is for the city to move the current road off the private property and onto the remaining portion of Catholic Avenue not affected by the 2004 easement granted by the city. Relocating the road will require some steps by both the Hot Springs Radio Club and the City of Hot Springs. Currently, 3 structures owned by the Radio Club are outside the boundaries defined by the 2004 easement. 1 metal antenna tower and 2 wooden poles. One of these poles will be in the middle of the relocated road and needs to be removed. An existing electrical service line to the radio clubhouse also needs to be raised to meet electrical code. The proposed solution is for the radio club to move 1 wooden pole about 10 feet to the south to allow for Catholic Avenue to be moved, and the city would relocate the electrical service line. The radio club will get quotes. The city would, the radio club will get quotes for moving the pole, and the city will get quotes for relocating the electrical service line. It will also be necessary for the City of Hot Springs to grant a temporary easement, no more permanent easement, for the radio club structures that are outside the current easement. The quotes for relocating the wooden pole and electrical service line will be reviewed at the next Public Works meeting. And after we've reviewed those, ideally we'll be able to have a solution going forward, and the city crews will be able to begin putting the road in there. That's our hope with the next meeting. We also talked about the Centennial Park shelters, landscape rock around them. The committee agrees the landscape rock should be removed from around the shelters and replaced with grass on 3 sides and cement on the 4th side. We would also like the Parks and Recreation Committee to look at replacing the rocks with grass and cement and providing their recommendations. So we feel there's a better solution for the situation. The city crews, city staff agrees that removing the rocks would make their work a lot easier.
And I agree. But let's get together and we'll figure that out.
All right. The last item we talked about is the 26th Street Water Project. Tracy provided final costs for the project and said another participant has requested to join the assessment district, which would increase the total lot count from 54 to 57. The committee will continue the discussions at our next Public Works meeting, and we'd like to have that one wrapped up at that meeting also. Is there anything, Craig? All right. Next Public Works meeting will be August 13th, 3 p.m. at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Southern Hills Economic Development, Caitlin.
Our next meeting will hopefully be August 16th in Edgemont. We have not concrete that yet. So if anyone's interested in going, I can let you know the time and place when we figure it out.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Moving on, Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, there's just been a couple of new developments. One of the things that Jason is doing is looking at repairing the cart paths, and he's got area formed up along the number 16 tee box, and we'll be funding that with contributions from the local golfers. He anticipates a cost of about $2,000 to replace that well-worn and eroded cart path along 16. We also did receive a donation of timbers, and Jason will be using that to build a loading and unloading dock near his maintenance facility. Volunteer Fire Department, Ron.
Next meeting is 13th of August, 7 p.m. at Hot Springs Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Moving on, we have Resolution 2019-16. This is some stop signs to be added at the intersection of 4th and Jennings along Jennings Avenue. This was brought to our attention by a citizen who saw a situation there that felt needed to be corrected. Our police have looked at this. This has been considered in public safety. I would ask Bill, even before we make this motion, is this a recommendation from, what's your recommendation from public safety?
The recommendation is that we install stop signs on the Jennings Avenue side of the intersections. This will keep 4th Street as a through street. It will also make Jennings Avenue, the stop signs are consistent, so Jennings Avenue will be consistently signed all the way down. And so public safety recommends the installation of these 2 stop signs on the Jennings Avenue side of the intersection.
Okay. With that, I'd ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2019-16.
I'll make a resolution to approve Resolution 2019-16, a resolution to place stop signs along Jennings Avenue at the intersection of 4th Street and Jennings Avenue.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that resolution. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I have a comment. I live on 4th Street and I've seen some narrow things happening there. It's a pretty dangerous intersection.
Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. We move on to new business. We have, the first item is motion to authorize our finance officer to move $2,262 from the general fund to the capital improvements fund. These are the donation by the baseball coaches, our summer rec program, back to the city to be used for baseball field improvements. I'd ask for a motion to transfer those funds.
I'll make
Transfer the funds for the baseball improvement lot to the 501 improvement fund.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize our finance officer to move that $2,262 from the general fund to the 501 capital improvement fund and restrict those funds for baseball and t-ball improvements. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have upcoming the 130th birthday of our South Dakota State Veterans Home. The veterans want to celebrate that with a parade. We need approval for DOT road usage. I would ask for a motion to approve that parade on the 30th of September.
I make a motion
Your
to
Honor?
approve this.
Yes.
Can I just correct the date? It's the 20th of September, not the 30th.
Okay, appreciate that correction.
I'll make a motion that we approve the State Veterans Home 130th birthday on the 20th of September, 2019.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve that parade on the 20th. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? I think it's important to note that parade route will be a little bit different than what we normally do. We'll be going from downtown up to the State Veterans Home, so it's an uphill parade. So,
It's going to be a short one.
we appreciate that opportunity to celebrate that birthday for a very important function in our community. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have an opportunity to reappoint Jane Farrell to our Library Board of Trustees for a 3-year term, ending in 2022. I'd ask for a motion for that reappointment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to abstain from that.
Okay?
I'd make the motion to discuss to approve the temporary, oh, Jesus, I'm on the wrong line. Let's go to appoint Gene Farrell to the Hot Springs Public Library Board of Trustees for a term of 3 years, 19 to 22.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to reappoint Jane to that Library Board of Trustees. We have one council person abstaining. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a temporary alcoholic beverage license in front of you for the American Legion Post 71. This is for the Balloon Festival. It'll be used in Centennial Park on the 24th of August. I'd accept a motion to approve that temporary alcoholic beverage license application.
Make a motion to approve a temporary alcoholic beverage license application from American Legion, post number 71, to be used at Centennial Park for the Balloon Festival to be held on August 24th, 2019.
Second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we grant that temporary alcoholic beverage license. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We also have before you another request for a temporary alcoholic beverage license. This one's from Winter Circle, to be used here in the Mueller Civic Center for the Hot Springs Hall of Fame event, which will be held the 14th of September. I'd accept a motion to approve that alcoholic beverage license application.
I'll make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage license for the Winter Circle at the Mueller Center for the Hot Springs Hall of Fame banquet, September 14th, 2019.
Been moved and seconded that we approve that temporary alcoholic beverage license. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have a couple of travel requests here. The first one's for our police officer Nate Cronin to attend a cannabis impaired driving class in Sioux Falls on December 2nd. That request should be in your packages. I'd accept a motion to approve that travel request.
I'd make a motion to approve travel request for Officer Nate Cronin to attend the cannabis impaired driving class in Sioux Falls, South Dakota on December 2nd, 2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this travel request. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
Is this a normal, is this something I've never heard of this?
What Chief Close tries to do is maximize his training budget to get all his officers trained on various aspects of law enforcement. And this helps them keep up. And so oftentimes we get scholarships through the police chief organization that he belongs to. And these help our officers to be professionally trained and develop areas of expertise to be used in their job.
I just never heard of this one, so I just wondered if it was a new, something new that they started, or?
They have various classes on different subjects throughout the year. I've not seen this one come before the council either. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have a motion to approve travel request for our Assistant Library Director, and that should be changed to Amy Lee's title. And this is a Share It program in Rapid City on the 7th of August.
I'll make a motion to approve the travel request for Assistant Library Director Emily Caffey to attend the Share It program in Rapid City on August 7th, 2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this travel request. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Misty, can you give us your finance officer report, please?
Be happy to, thank you. I did prepare my monthly finance officer report, the year-to-date profit and loss summary, the fund summary report, the cash balance report, and the investment reports for your review. A couple of things I'd point out there. We are out of the red in our general fund. We would expect to be about this time of year. Our water fund that is in the red, that would be the result of the 26th Street and the Canton Avenue projects. And then our solid waste fund that's in the red, that would be the result of the brush pile processing we did this year. I did receive an email this afternoon that our $17,500 grant reimbursement from the state that helped us with that expense is on its way, so in the next couple days we should have that. I did, so those expenses affect both the fund balances and then where each of those funds are at in their fund summary budget to actual reports for the year. And the only other thing I'd point out in the rest of those reports is that July 31st, we had a CD that was maturing at First Interstate Bank. We used that CD for the water fund as a debt service reserve. I visited with Tracy. We contacted 3 banks in town, and we got the best rate by leaving it there. So we rolled that over for 11 months at 2.25% at First Interstate. And as always, if you have any questions when you look over these reports, please don't hesitate to ask. There's a lot of information that we kind of compile into those reports, and it's a lot to digest. So any questions at all, please ask. A hard copy of the 2018 financial statements and audit report have been distributed to all council members and are now posted on the city website. The audit report has been accepted by DLA, the Department of Legislative Audit, and the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. That's good news for us. We are still working on distributing the information to our lenders who require annual reporting, and then the Municipal Security Rulemaking Board as required by our bond agreement for the Evans Plunge purchase. If there's any questions about the audit report or anything that you see in there, please don't hesitate to ask. Same goes for the community. Take a look at it. Gives you an idea of what the city has and what we use and how we use it. We did have the presentation, as Bob mentioned, in the admin finance report of the city compensation study. Although it's still a work in progress, and we're waiting to get the compensation statements completed for our employees, it was good news to hear that 99% of our employees are in a classification that makes sense. So we're paying them fairly for the jobs they're doing, and that was a relief. It did take a little while for us to get a clear understanding of how we differ from the private enterprise businesses that they're used to working with, but I did appreciate all the time that Trish and the Weston group took to understand that, and I believe when you all see the presentation, you can see that many different facts and a lot of different data was compiled to make sure that we got a good report of a finding for that, and I'm excited about that. Bob also gave the airport fueling system update, so I'll save that. I did, when I typed this letter for your council packets, it was Thursday, and I was being awfully optimistic that we would be done with our budget meetings, and we did make a lot of progress in the 2 days that we've met, but we have scheduled an additional budget meeting for Tuesday, tomorrow, at 5 p.m. And I think that is mostly because this mayor, I'm so thankful, will not let us go too terrible late. So we went from about 5 to 9, 8:30 the first night and 9 the second night, and a lot has been done. It's a lot of work. There are a lot of details. There's a lot of important projects, and there's only so much money to go around. So thank you all for your honest and fair conversation and feedback, and we'll wrap it up Tuesday night. I'm confident we will. Then I just have and spent some time in the back of my report to give new council members some of my favorite tools to use I mentioned the SDML, that's the South Dakota Municipal League Handbook for municipal officials, more commonly known as the Blue Book. Y'all get a hard copy of that. If you don't have one, let me know. They're so worth it. The other is the Green Book. You don't get a copy of that, but that's the Municipal Accounting Manual that comes from the Department of Legislative Audit. And then the third helpful resource is our city ordinances. We are working with American Legal Publishing to codify and fully publish our city ordinances through a link on our website, but they are available online now. However, the online versions have not been updated since the spring of 2018. So since that time, we've updated and adopted Chapter 24 Traffic, Chapter 21 Wastewater, Chapter 26 Water, Chapter 27A Zoning, which was adding for PUD, and Chapter 15 pawnbrokers. So you can look online at our ordinances, and if you wanted copies of any of those that are not on there yet, I'd be happy to provide them. And then the last helpful resource are all of our internal written city policies. We worked a lot over the years to get those in writing, and we try to follow them so we have a consistent and fair approach in all that we do. We're not perfect, but we certainly try, and I wanted to share those tools and resources with each of you because I find them awfully helpful, and I think you may as well. That's all I have. Just a reminder of the additional budget meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Well, thank you, Misty. Appreciate your report and all that you do. Again, I want to thank the council for your involvement in the budget process. We've done a lot of work. Misty and the department heads have gotten together and come up with a budget. As you know, we've had some money that we've had to cut, and there have been some good, honest, and frank discussions on how to do that. One of the things that obviously we've stressed is there any way that we can raise revenue? And I say this not to remind you that we looked at that, but to make sure that the community understands that we also have a responsibility to charge for those things, those services in a fair manner, and raise our revenues. It's tough to run a city. We've got 40 full-time employees. We're looking at about a $7 million total budget with different pots, some restrictions on each of those funds, and so it does take a process to go through and make sure that all of those numbers agree, that we have a realistic approach to how we're going to manage things in the upcoming year. I think it's important to note that the amount that we expend for you as the council and me as the mayor to do the jobs that we do is less than 1% of the budget, actually about 0.6%. And so the work does, the monies do go to helping support those 40 employees in doing the job that we need to do to provide things like water, police protection, fire protection, services at our libraries, keep our parks looking good, and so forth. There's a lot of things that go on. So again, I appreciate the hard work you've done. I'm sure that we will come to a resolution on that tomorrow night. And again, our focus has been on also looking not only at ways to cut, delay projects that maybe be able to be delayed, but we've also focused on raising revenues where we can. As you know, the road construction is looming. There's a couple of things I want to report on that. We formed a DOT local coordination group that will be working with the regional office in Rapid City to start coordinating the actual construction process. Several community members, we've asked for some business people to be on that group, the beautification, so that we can have an open communication, take suggestions from the community as how that construction will be scheduled and cause minimum impact to our businesses. The other thing that looms, obviously, is funding for our sidewalk that provides that extra margin of safety. I've scheduled a meeting this Friday. The congressional representatives, their local regional congressional offices have been gracious to sit down and meet with me. I'll explain what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and they will be looking and giving advice as to where we can look for grant opportunities. As many of you know, Congress used to give a lot of earmarks, got a lot of things built in the Air Force as a result of congressional earmarks. They don't do that anymore. They tend to dole out the money to various state entities for grant opportunities. And so that's what we'll be looking for, is to try to outline and get some opportunities to gain some funding assistance through grants. As you know, we don't have a city administrator. We've had a committee appointed. We've had 9 applicants for the job. Plan is within the next couple of weeks, interview the top 3 of those applicants. We've got 3 that look like they also may be contenders, depending on how the top 3 interviews go. And then there's 3 resumes that look good, excellent, talented people, but just didn't have the municipal experience that we're looking for. And so we'll probably write them a letter and thank them for their applications, and they'll be getting those out this week. Finally, it's, and certainly not last, or certainly not least, but I don't know if you noticed the sign on the Mueller Center when you came up. We have a job interview for Baumgar's employees that they're looking to hire. They're going to be taking over the old Shopko building. And on behalf of the city of Hot Springs, I want to certainly welcome Baumgar's to our city. And they, I think, will fill a very big void in retail here. I think they'll bring many of our farm ranch families into town to do more business here, and we certainly welcome that. Those things don't just happen. Shedco played a big part in making that happen. The owners of that property made a big part in that happen. And quite frankly, you as the leadership of the government of Hot Springs also play a very, very important role in those things. We have to continue to maintain a very positive and functional council that makes positive decisions and makes our community inviting for businesses like Baumgar's to locate here. That's how communities grow. And again, I want to thank you as a council for the work that you do. And it takes a team effort to make sure that we keep the doors for business in Hot Springs open and certainly welcome. And with that said, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adjourned.